In business, June inflation rises to 5.3%, driven by higher non-food prices. And on the international front, no Ghanaian in custody after South Africa protest, High Commissioner.
These are now the stories coming up in the next 30 minutes of your time. My name is El Samias. Parliament has ratified bilateral air service agreement between the government of Ghana and 6 countries: Benin, Saudi Arabia, Mauritius, Guyana, Luxembourg, and Qatar, aimed at strengthening their transportation relations.
The agreements establish a comprehensive and balanced framework for regulating and promoting air services between Ghana and the respective countries. They safeguard the foreign rights of Ghana and the partner states while granting designated airlines the opportunity to operate agreed services under fair and transparent conditions. The agreements also provide mechanisms for dispute resolution, ensure compliance with domestic laws, and protect the financial viability of international air operations. The bilateral air services agreements are expected to boost trade, tourism, investment, and business relations by improving air connectivity and facilitating the movement of passengers and cargo.
An investigator with the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, Frank Marshall Cromwell, on Wednesday, July 1st, defended the prosecution's assessment of former National Signals Bureau Director General Kwabena Aduboahim's assets, maintaining that the properties identified during the investigation appear inconsistent with the income investigations that were able to establish.
The investigator, who testified as the prosecution's fourth witness, PW4, in his evidence in chief, explained the basis of the prosecution's conclusions regarding the accused income and assets. During his evidence, PW4 told the court that investigators reviewed Aduboahim's salary records between 2017 and 2019 and found that he earned an average monthly salary of about 5,000 Ghana cedis in 2017, 6,000 cedis in 2018, and 7,000 cedis in 2019. The witness said investigators considered those earnings when examining several properties linked to Aduboahim and his wife Angela Agyei-Boateng during the investigation. According to PW4, investigators identified 7 properties at Mayfair Garden Estate, a 27-unit apartment complex at Oyarifa Delsize Park, and another property at Dorchester Heights, Asokore Mampon, which were subsequently made the subject of freezing orders obtained by the prosecution. He told the court that EOCO investigators visited Mayfair Garden Estate on March 21, 2025. in the company of Aduboahim, his wife, and their lawyers, where they confirmed the existence of 7 properties allegedly linked to the couple. The witness also testified that EOCO obtained payment records from Mayfair Estate, which together with bank transaction records formed part of the basis of the investigation. He said investigators traced a transfer of 1.5 million Ghana cedis from the account of BNC Communications Bureau Limited at UMB Bank to Advantage Solutions before the funds were transferred to Mayfair Estate, adding that the transaction corresponded with one of the payments receipts obtained from the estate. PW4 further testified that investigators later observed payments made through accounts linked to Advantage Solutions, Vertex Solutions, and another company they associated with the accused persons. Kwabena Aduboahim, the former Director General of the National Signals Bureau, and his wife, Angela Agyei-Boateng, are standing trial over allegations involving the alleged misappropriation of 49.1 million Ghana cedis in state funds. The Attorney General alleges that funds intended for a cyber defense project were diverted through private companies linked to the accused persons and used to acquire assets and other properties. The accused persons have pleaded not guilty to the charges and are contesting the prosecution's case. Counsel for the accused is expected to begin cross-examination of the investigator on July 2, 2026.
The chairman of the Parliament's Works and Housing Committee, Vincent Opong Asamoah, has called for a comprehensive review of the Greater Accra Resilient and Integrated Development Project, citing concerns it has been undermined by political interference.
Speaking on the floor of Parliament, Opong Asamoah said the contract should be reassessed to ensure it delivers on its intended objectives and provides lasting solutions to the region's persistent flooding challenges. He argued that the project has not achieved its purpose due to what he described as political and personal interest influencing its implementation. GARID has failed. You all know that GARID failed because of some personal interest and political issues, and I urge the current president and our current administration to review the contract. Where it demands termination of contract, let's terminate it and re-award it, so that next year we will not be here talking about the same thing, he said.
GARID has failed. We all know that GARID failed because of some personal interest, political issues. And I urge the our president and our current administration to review the contract. Where it demands termination of contract, let's terminate it and re-award it, so that next year we'll not be here talking about the same thing. Because when there's flooding, apart from the destruction that it causes here, it affects road projects as well. All the investment that we have made in big projects, if we don't construct the storm drains, it is going to affect the roads. So I only urge our government, because right now the solution, we have to find solutions. The lamentation should be over. We were asked to build detention ponds. What are the detention ponds? Where are the detention ponds? We were unable to even build detention ponds for 5 years. We couldn't do it. Mr. Speaker, where is the money? Where is the money? Some of our contributors were ministers of state, and we supervised this for how many years? We couldn't find solution to this. And just 1.5 years out of office, you are here making so much noise about what has occurred. It is happening in Benin, it is happening in Nigeria, all the West Coast, we are all into it. Please, let's find solutions to this canker.
And from the floor of Parliament, we cross over to the business desk, where Ghana's inflation rate has risen for the third consecutive month, increasing to 5.3% in June from 3.7% in May, according to the latest data released by the Ghana Statistical Service.
This points to a renewed acceleration in consumer prices after several months of relatively moderate inflation. The latest rise in headline inflation was driven largely by higher non-food prices. Government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrissa said food inflation edged up to 3.9% in June from 3.3% in May, while non-food inflation recorded a sharper increase to 6.3% from 4.1% over the same period. Despite the monthly increase, inflation remains significantly lower than the 13.7% recorded in June 2025, indicating that overall price pressures continue to ease on a year-on-year basis. The data also showed that inflation for locally produced goods rose to 6.7% in June from 5.0% in May, accounting for 86.6% of headline inflation. Meanwhile, inflation for imported goods increased to 2.3% from 0.9% over the same period. Price growth remained stronger in the services sector than in goods. Services inflation stood at 9.4%, easing slightly from 9.9% in May, while goods inflation accelerated sharply to 3.7% from 1.4%. This means that the pressure is coming from services, transport, rent, education, accommodation, and other food costs, other non-food costs. This means that the pressure is coming from services, transport, rent, education, accommodation, and other food costs and other non-food costs as well. Fifth, local items explain most of the inflation, the government statisticians said. At the regional level, the Northeast region recorded the highest inflation rate at 10.2%, while the Bono East region posted the lowest rate at negative 4.4%, reflecting an overall decline in average prices during the period.
We wrap up this morning's edition of the Mega News with international stories, where Commissioner to South Africa Benjamin Kwashi has assured that no Ghanaian remain in police custody following an anti-immigration demonstration that took place across parts of South Africa on Tuesday, June 30th.
Speaking on Eyewitness News, Mr. Kwashi said the Ghana High Commission had been closely monitoring developments since the early hours of the day and had intervened to secure the release of all Ghanaians who were temporarily detained by law enforcement officers. We've been monitoring the situation since 6 a.m. this morning. A couple of Ghanaians were arrested, and all of them, I can confidently tell you, have been released through the intervention of our consular officers, he said. According to him, some of those detained were stopped by police during immigration checks and asked to produce identification documents. Once they identified themselves as Guineans, the authorities contacted the High Commission to verify their nationality. Mr. Kwashi explained that there is an existing arrangement between the Ghana High Commission and South African law enforcement agencies requiring authorities to consult the mission whenever a Ghanaian national is detained. The agreement is that if any Ghanaian is arrested, the authorities should first confirm with us, verify whether the individual is indeed Ghanaian, and advise accordingly, he stated. His comments come as anti-immigration protests intensified in several South African cities, including Pretoria, where hundreds of demonstrators marched through the city center demanding stricter enforcement of immigration laws. The demonstrations have heightened fears among migrant communities, prompting some foreign nationals to remain indoors or relocate temporarily over concerns about their safety. Despite the tensions, the High Commissioner said the mission had not received reports of widespread attacks against Guineans. He disclosed that only one Ghanaian had been caught up in an incident during the protest after ignoring advice from the High Commission to remain indoors. The only case we recorded involved a Ghanaian who admitted that he left his accommodation to visit a shop despite our advice. Unfortunately, protesters confronted him, Mr. Kwashi said. Apart from that incident, he stressed that no Ghanaian-owned property had been destroyed and no Ghanaian had been injured or caught in the crossfire of the demonstrations. The Ghana High Commission has continued to urge Ghanaian nationals in South Africa to remain vigilant, avoid unnecessary movement, and comply with safety directives while authorities monitor the evolving security situation. The mission is also preparing to undertake another voluntary repatriation exercise next week for Ghanaians who wish to return home amid the growing anti-immigration tensions.
And that brings us to the end of this morning's news at 6. For more news, log on to MBN 360. But before we take leave of you, let's take a second look at the stories making headlines.
Parliament ratifies air services agreements with 6 countries. In business, June inflation rises to 5.3%, driven by higher non-food prices. And on the international front, no Ghanaian in custody after South Africa protest, High Commissioner.
Thanks for staying with us. For more news, log on to MBN 360. Coming up, we'll bring you the sports update. My name is El Samuels. Have a good morning.